Hello and welcome to my very first YouTube video. This video, I've titled it So You Think You Can't Make Art, but it could very well have been titled So You Think You Can't Make a YouTube Video, because really I don't know how to make a YouTube video, but here I am doing it anyway. So if you think you can't make art, come and draw with me anyway. All you really need is a piece of paper and some sort of pen or other marker. And we're going to start by putting our pen down somewhere on the page, and then we're going to start drawing a line. And as we draw this line, it's going to take some unexpected twists and turns. Without much planning, you can draw slowly, you can draw quickly, you can vary the speed of your marker. So don't really think about it too much, just let your marker go where it wants to go. At this time, I'm going to ask you to bring attention to your thoughts. We call this your self-talk, just where your thoughts go as you engage in this process. If you come to the end of the page, just pick up your pen and start making another line somewhere else. Your lines can cross each other, they can cross themselves, and then just wander around on the page. This process really reflects life. If you'd asked me a year ago, or maybe even at the beginning of this year, where I was going to be, what I was going to be doing this August, I don't think I would have said I was going to be making YouTube videos. Drawing like this feels a lot like what's going on in the world right now. And really, you know, what goes on all the time in the world, and we just don't usually think about it. We think our life is going in a certain direction, but we never know when we get up in the morning and leave the house if we're going to run into an old friend who's going to invite us to go watch a baseball game, and you end up meeting the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with. But somehow this year seems a lot different, and we really don't know what's coming next. And when you've done 3 or 4 lines, you'll notice that lightly some of your lines have crossed. And then at the points where they cross, it creates a sharp corner, a pointy corner. So we're going to go in and round off those corners. Wherever the lines cross, and you've got a pointy little bit, go in there and soften the edges and round the corners off. And you can continue going around your page, and this could take a while depending on how many lines you've drawn. Now this process is something that I started seeing people posting about on the internet, and they call it something, they call it neurographic art. Now neuro art. Neurographic art starts with this random line and uses these rounded corners. If your pen slips and you make a line that doesn't go exactly where you want it to go, that's not a big deal. Just continue it on and connect it up with the rest of the lines. You can also go back to those lines that just sort of stop in the middle of the page somewhere, because I told you to start somewhere in the middle of the page, and connect those up with the edge of the page or with another line in your composition, so that everything's connected. And at this time, we've divided our page up into quite a few different areas. And what those areas are called shapes. They're called organic shapes. And a shape is an area that's bounded by a line, with a line all the way around it, a line that goes all the way around it. An organic shape means that it's kind of random. It doesn't have a name. It's not something specific. Now we're going to create some geometric shapes. They have names. I'm going to ask you to make a square and a circle, and I would like those 2 shapes to overlap. Now, if your immediate thought when I said circle and square was, I need a ruler to draw a square, and I need something to trace, a jar lid or something to trace so I could draw a circle, I'm going to say, don't worry too much, and I'd like to introduce a concept called Ish. And now Ish comes from a children's book called Ish, and the idea is, instead of drawing something exactly, draw something that's ish. So a circle-ish shape and a square-ish shape. And let's see how that changes your thoughts. And now go back and sort of, now there's more lightly some more places where your lines have crossed, and let's go and round off those corners too. So let's not leave the square just sort of hanging there. We'll connect that with the rest of our drawing as well. Now, did you notice a difference in your thoughts when you were drawing the square and the circle? Did it feel different? And I've had a lot of people tell me that they felt a little anxious. Their thoughts changed. When they were drawing randomly without any plan, things seemed very relaxed and calm. But then when I tell them to draw a specific shape, even though those shapes are very familiar to us, and they felt like there was some expectations that their square and their circle had to be very, very precise. I also have people tell me that they don't like the way that the square and the circle look. If you're happy with the way things look, that's great. If you're not happy with your circle and your square, then let's see what we can do to change that. What could you do to your drawing that would make your square and your circle feel like they fit a little bit better? Sometimes if you do something in art and it feels like a mistake, if you do it again, it becomes what's called a design feature. So let's draw some more circles on the page. And see if that changes it. That makes it feel like things make more sense. The circles don't all have to be the same size. And you're going to connect your circles and round off any of the sharp edges as you discover them, or more squares. And again, like we were doing before, connect them up with your composition. And maybe that'll make it feel like it makes more sense. Maybe not, don't know. It's worth a try. It's just a piece of paper. It's not meant to be a finished drawing. It's just practice here. So we covered a lot of things in this first video in this series. And at the end of this video, I have a little bonus to share with you. So I have 2 more videos in this series. One I've called Patterns and Textures, and we'll be looking at ways to use lines and shapes and turning them into patterns and textures. And the other one, I'll be covering the use of color and some simple shading techniques. Now, I have a favor to ask of you. I have a project that I called 2020 Postcards, and I'm collecting handmade postcards from people from all over the world, people just like you. And I would love if you would send me a postcard to this address. And now back to that bonus that I mentioned. I'd like to talk a little bit about symbols in art. We use symbols in all kinds of places. They're shapes that represent other things. Now, during one of the sessions that I ran, one of the participants asked if she had to draw a circle and a square. And she had specifically asked if she could draw a triangle, and I started thinking about it afterwards. And what if we add a triangle to the top of the square? What does it become? And now that shape, that new shape that's created, is a fairly universal symbol. What does that shape, that symbol of a house, mean to you? We can also look at the circles and think about what those could represent. Perhaps they represent planets. One fairly universal symbol for a circle is of the sun. So maybe this is the sun rising behind the house. Now, does that change the way you feel about this composition? What other symbols are important to you? What symbols are important to you? And think about ways to incorporate those into your art.